Hi everyone. Yes. So I'm here today to talk about luxury asset acquisitions because most of the family offices are helping families to acquire assets in multi-jurisdictions, and this will be, I hope, will be something really insightful for you. So please let me know if you have questions or if you want to learn more details. So for people who is wondering what is a family office, you can find the card in your chairs and try to, like, if you read it, you will understand. But I want to dive into directly to the presentation itself. So let's talk about a little bit of luxury asset classes, what it is, and as all you can imagine, what it's all about, why high net worth, ultra high net worth individuals are liking it. So the first thing, it should be exclusive and rare. The value that comes with it is strictly tied to exclusivity and how authentic it is and how rare it is. And obviously it's high value assets. So it is a little bit up in the chain when you're talking about spending on a luxury asset. And it's tangible, which means that it must be a physical asset where you can enjoy and you can have fun with, or use it, or collect it, or look at it in your art, in your wall. And what can be the segments? It can be fine art, it can be classic cars, luxury jewelry, which also includes watches and everything. But also on the woman's side, we like our really tiny but good ones. Real estate is also something we now started to call as a luxury asset category, not only for living in it and having it, although it's so many real estate all around the world. Those specific category is for the premium locations, one-of-a-kind build houses, experiences, when you can experience like in a Alps or in some location that you would only be able to go by boat or something like that. So this segment in real estate is a little bit high-end as well. And of course, my favorite ones, and this is why we're here for, yachts and private jets. And this is also something tricky. We did one acquisition with one family in Türkiye with private jet. And I will talk about it more in the next slides and how important being in the detail is and what we experienced while doing that. So these are the numbers which we will come later on, but why the ultra high net worth and high net worth individuals are after these luxury assets. And I want to give you a little bit more brief about that. Pleasure and passion, what it means. So most of the time you can see that people are, for example, we are in one of the most exciting places for me to make a presentation in this great shop, which you can see all around cars. And I saw one Ferrari downstairs, which is like, I kind of like it so much. So pleasure and passion is really important for the individuals when they're trying to understand what they like and what they want to buy. And most of them has collections of either fine art, either watches, either cars. And either they're using it and then for personal pleasure, or they just want to have it as an investment and store it, but still it's something that they have personal touch with. And appreciation potential. So as you can imagine, these luxury assets are also investments, and what you would expect from an investment to be capital gain. So these assets should be carefully chosen, also by appreciation potential, and every different asset, every different segment is depending on the product itself and the authenticity and how rare it is, etc. And diversification is another one. So when you are managing a portfolio, a wealth side, you need to diversify your assets, and it can differ in asset classes. And this is kind of a fun and enjoyable asset class where families also seeking diversification. Most of the time it comes with arts or cars, and because yachts and private jets are depreciating assets, and we will talk about it a little bit more. it might go down, the value might go down when you are using it. For jets, it's for sure that. For yachts, maybe you can give me a better understanding of it. I'm sure there's so many people here, they know better than I do. But this is also, hedge against inflation is something also we need to consider, because different kind of asset classes show reaction to economic landscape and how volatility it is. So this is also in ultra high net worth and high net worth individuals' mind. We have to diversify, and I have to find some assets where it will be hedge against the inflation. And since this is luxury asset class and this is for specific amount of people in the world that who's willing to buy or invest, so this is also something to think about. And of course, it's global demand. So these assets are valuable wherever you go in the world. And some of them can be carried with you. Some of them is, like real estate, is bound to the location itself. But most of the time, the understanding around these assets as value is global. So families also like having these global assets as well. And these are the numbers, as you can see. This was Knight Frank's report. They predicted that by 2028, 419 billion we will be reaching with this market, which is annual rate of 3.22. So what we can see from here is that it's going to go, the market itself, the sector itself is going to go bigger, and it's going to expand by value. And this is the only decline we had was in the collectible car market. 6 decline overall, but still the brands itself get identified, and specific brands seeing some increase on their assets, and in general, car market is declining. So let's talk about a little bit financing, because this is one of the most important part of acquiring and luxury assets. The first and obvious choice is self-financing, which many of them is not choosing to, but it's also an option for some families, for maybe some tax reasons or because of the liquidity events, etc. But there's also different ways when you use a third-party financing solution. So what I mean by private banking, some of the assets are being financed under the private banking relationship, and if you are already involved with this private bank, and you are a client, where you can go and ask, saying that I would like to have this asset and I need my financing options. And then under the private client segment and under the private banking services, this is also something you can have in your hand as a possibility. And there's also another one, which is loan. And what I mean is also operational leasing or independent leasing. And when you are buying an asset, especially if you're building a yacht, if you're building an aircraft from scratch, you're going to a Bombardier and then you ordered an aircraft, a private jet for you to happen, or you are buying a classic car, there are some institutions who might finance this. It can be bank, it can be private debt institutions, etc. And they are either, it depends on the location of the asset itself or again the class itself, either putting this as a loan, which you technically take a credit from itself and have a different payment plan and those kind of methods, or they're leasing, which means that your asset is a collateral, and you can, if you can't pay back to the institution who's providing this leasing to you, the bank or the institution is kind of using this collateral as a collateral, this asset. And there are some independent credit institutions. Their job is solely to make sure that you will get whatever you want to finance, especially art and collectibles, jewelries, etc. Because traditional institutions and such big banks are being more conservative about providing financing for these kind of asset classes. Because of that reason, in the world and because of the demand, there are some independent institutions who build up their network and their business model around it. So you can even, there are a couple of them in Jersey, London, United States. You can even go and just tell them that I want this NFT to be financed, and they're trying to understand if they can do or not. So they're more flexible on the financing side. We can skip. And the decision-making process. So with these assets, it's really important that you take your time and you have to find the one that you enjoy and you like. And in each segment has a different kind of expertise. So when we're talking about art, you have to understand the authenticity and you have to understand the market value and the artist itself. It depends if the artist is alive or it's already a passed away artist where the value is just there and then probably will preserve the value as it goes. So it's get tricky. And market research is also something you have to be focusing about, especially when it comes to yachts. If you're not building it, you have to find, or private jets, you have to find the right one for you. Or if you are collecting a specific car, again, the market research and access is playing a huge role. Either you're gonna be able to get it or not. So in this market research, you can do it, or there's also firms, independent firms, who is managing in a way that has to find what you want or give you more options. And there's personal interest and investment potential. So while you're making a decision, it's not only about buying something you really enjoy and you like, these are also a really good investment vehicles. So you have to think about all the details about the investment itself, and are you expecting a capital appreciation, or are you just positioning your wealth in an asset to hold for years to come? So these are the questions that you should be asking to yourself. And exit strategy. Either you want to have this asset under your family and hold it as your part of your family's legacy, or you might end up selling it or transferring it to the other person. So those are the strategies that you have to build when you are getting, because selling them, these assets needs maintenance and managing. So if you don't do the maintenance itself in the proper way, you can lose value and you can damage the asset itself. Especially if you're using it, it gets more critical when you are trying to hold those assets. So exit strategy is always something that you have to think in your mind when you are, even without you are doing the first step. You have to make a decision about this too. And there's different kind of approaches when you are talking about private jets, when you're talking about cars, when you're talking about art. So for example, I can talk more about private jets, and private jets are depreciating asset, but also it has management costs. And most of the time, it's not a collectible asset, it's something that families are buying or companies are buying to use. So these kind of assets all depends on your needs and where you want to fly, how many people are you going to be onboarding it, the location will be in your country, where are you going to register it, who's going to be providing the land service, who's going to make sure that there's also, some operator must be involved, and doing it yourself is a little bit harder, so you have to choose the right operator, etc. So these assets needs detailed planning according to your needs, and also according to the specific of these asset classes or individual assets itself. And like I said, there's a maintaining and managing luxury asset segment situation, which is not most of the time when you buy an asset or when you are investing in something, this is not always coming up to your end. Most of them, yes, but especially in luxury asset class, it is so valuable because it might end up changing the value of your asset when you want to exit or transfer. So, obvious reasons, tax. Anything you do, you have to think about tax all the time. But what this time tax means is that there are some assets where you can, like art or jewelry or watches, when you can move the asset itself, because the location matters the most when it comes to tax and when it comes to legal infrastructure. So tax is something that you have to choose and think wisely where to hold the asset, the ownership structure, and everything. And the other one is insurance. These are specific and really unique assets. So some of the companies does these insurances as well, but changing according to the asset itself. So you have to also consider the insurance of it in order to make a great maintenance about these assets. And usage. Some of the art owners would like to hold the asset in a depot or in some airports storages for tax reasons, and also they want to own it, but because it's so valuable, and if anything happens to it, the value will be depreciating. So they're trying to make copies out of it and then put it in their homes, and we all see it in movies even, but it's a reality. And they are storing the original one because it's one of a kind in stores. And there's also the yachts and aircrafts and cars. When you want to use it, there's more opportunity for the asset itself to get damaged or get broken, etc. So those are the things that you have to think about, and you have to decide even before you're buying it, are you going to be using it as much as you like? So then the asset class itself maybe should change, or the brand or the asset itself. Or if you're not going to use it and if you just want to store it and own it, then it's a different topic that we're talking about. Can we go just back? And the ownership. This is one of the most important part of the assets itself because of all the reasons that I just said, tax and legal and insurance. So location matters a lot, and structures play a role here as well. You can structure an SPV and put the asset under the SPVs. You can use holding structures to hold the assets, but holding is a little bit stiff because there's shareholders and it's by to common law or the jurisdiction you're in. So it's a little bit tough, but most of the families, what we see, if it's not an aircraft or a yacht, because then for aircraft you have to have an aviation company under your roof, or for the yacht but it's better when you have license and then chartering business or tourism business to hold the asset under it. But with the art, watches, and jewelries, most of the time, especially you're not using it, you're just storing it or collecting it, the families prefer to put SPVs, special purpose vehicles, and put the ownership under them so that if anything happens, it can be managed in a professional way. And the legal and tax situation around it will be easier, and you can these are the portable assets, so you can move the assets into the jurisdiction that you feel more convenient according to where you live, what kind of citizenship you have, what is your company, etc. And transferring the luxury assets. I didn't write down selling it because it's not only about selling it, it's also about transferring to the next generation. Many families have assets under their family roof and transferring these assets into the next generation. So you have to think both when you are planning your inheritance or estate planning. It can be a luxury real estate that you will, the family owns this for the last 100 years. It's a premium location. It's not one of a kind, and you know that the value will not depreciate by the time, so you want to keep it on the family. Or it can be something that you would like to sell afterwards, so you're seeing purely this as an investment vehicle and collect some of the valuable art pieces or watches, and then when the market is in a higher place or when you have the need, you want to sell them. So those are the things that you also have to think after the exit. So market timing here depends a lot because these are illiquid assets. So in order to be able to make the best out of it when you are thinking to sell, you have to wait the market timing and understand if it's the good time to sell or no. And valuation services also matters a lot. Even before acquiring the asset itself, it needs to be done, the valuation needs to be done in different expertises there are. So you need to make sure that your valuation sits well on each asset. And while, again, if you want to sell it, you have to come back to the table again to see the valuation and then what type of capital appreciation you gain or what is the market price of this product. Selling channels are again different because these are not some things that you can find everywhere all around. And the buyers of these kind of assets are just like you did. They are unique and they're a specific certain group of people. So you have to be able to reach out to them and you have to find the market. So for selling. So selling channels are being different and it's most of the time global. So you have to be able to operate in and detect those selling channels accordingly. And tax implications. Like any other thing, when you are buying, we thought about the tax. Again, while we're selling, we have to talk about and think about the tax. Is there a capital gain tax liability on this asset in this country, in this jurisdiction? So that's why the ownership and the structure matters a lot, so that you will be prepared all of this tax implications. I think that was my last slide, right? So this was my last slide. And if you have any questions about buying a luxury asset class, where to find it or how to find it, you can ask now or you can find me afterwards this one. Thank you so much.